Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn about IELTS Writing Task 1. In this lesson, we are going to use a line graph to write our Task 1. Remember, if you're a general training student, then your writing Task 1 is going to be a letter. However, if you are an academic student, then your writing task 1 is going to be a report, and the report is going to be based on a bar chart, a line graph, a pie chart, a table, a map, or a diagram based on a process. Now, before we begin the lesson, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then subscribe to the channel and turn your notification button on so that you know when I upload a new video. Now, when it comes to writing task 1, you're supposed to write 4 paragraphs. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to write the first 2 paragraphs, that is the introduction and the overview. In the next video, I will teach you how to write the other 2 paragraphs. Now, once you have received your writing task 1, the very first thing you should do is to have a look at the chart that you have been provided with. Have a look at the left, the horizontal, and the vertical line to see what sort of information you have there. Once you have done that, then have a look at the information that IELTS has already provided you with. In this case, we have the information in red. The information is the graph shows the number of cars imported to Germany from 1994 to 2001. The graph shows the number of cars imported to Germany from 1994 to 2001. In the line graph, you have the units on the left in number of cars from 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 to 4,000. And then on the vertical line, you have the years from 1994 to 2000. Then you have the Porsche is supposed to be in black. So the black line of the graph represents the number of cars bought, and the car is the Porsche. And then the red is the Ferrari. So once you have that information, then you move on to write your introduction. Now, when it comes to writing your introduction, it really is the most simple, the easiest part of your writing task 1. Why do I say that? The reason is because you're simply supposed to paraphrase the information that is provided to you by IELTS. And then you add some extra information from the graph about the names of the cars in this case and the unit of measurements. Now, let us look at how to write the introductory paragraph. We have said that you simply need to paraphrase the information provided by IELTS. So what you have to do is write the information that IELTS has provided you with in your own words. In other words, you need to find the synonyms of the words that are already there. And some words will remain the same. But most of the words should be replaced with synonyms. Let us begin paraphrasing the information. The graph shows the number of cars imported to Germany from 1994 to 2001. The first part is the graph. So then I have changed that and it has become the line graph. I am a little bit more specific, so I have added the word line, the line graph. Then the next word is shows, which I have replaced with demonstrates. Okay, shows, demonstrates, or you can use illustrates. Okay, the next word is the number of cars. The number of cars. So I have replaced that with how many. Okay, number, I have replaced that with how many. And the next word is cars. I have replaced that with the names of the cars, that is Ferraris and Porsches. Okay, and then we have got the word imported. So I need to find words that mean the same as imported, and that is brought from abroad. Then the next word is to Germany. Now that does not change. And then the last words are from 1994 to 2001. I have replaced part of that with over 8 years. That is from 1994 to 2001. That is over 8 years. And then I have replaced the years from 1994 to 2001. So what I have done there is I have rewritten the information that was provided to me by IELTS in my own words. Then once you have done that, you need to add some extra information from the graph about the names of the cars and the unit of measurements. Now, when it comes to the names of the cars, we have already added that information because we have the Porsches and Ferraris. And then when it comes to the unit of measurements, that should be your second sentence. And that in my case is units are measured in numbers. Okay, units are measured in numbers. So once you have written your introductory paragraph, the most important thing before we move on to the overview is paraphrase the information and add the extra information from the vertical part of the graph and the horizontal part of the graph. Okay? Now, let's move on to the overview. What are you supposed to write in the overview? The most important tip for the overview is that when the examiner is marking your writing task 1, in the second paragraph, they are looking for the key features. Have you talked about the key features that are highlighted in the chart? Have you talked about them? Now, in this case, we have 3 key features. A, the performance of the Porsches. B, the performance of the Ferraris. And C, the performance of both cars in terms of import. Okay? Now, once you have figured what the key features are, and most of the times the key features are 2 or 3. Okay? Usually you have 2 to 3 key features. Most of the times it's 3 key features. Okay? And once you have figured that out, then you begin writing the overview paragraph. And in the overview paragraph, you kind of need to condense the information, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you are describing what the chart is actually highlighting. That is the key features. So usually we begin the overview paragraph with overall, comma, the total number of Porsches imported into Germany increased over the period given. So we are now talking about the first key feature, that is A, the performance of the Porsches. So overall, the total number of Porsches imported into Germany increased over the period given. Now, if you look at our line graph, you notice that the line in black keeps going up, okay? It keeps going up. Over the entire period, that line keeps going up. And that's why we are saying, overall, the total number of Porsches imported into Germany increased over the period given. And then we move on to the second key feature, and that is the performance of the Ferraris. So we have talked about the Porsches. Now let's talk about the Ferraris. On the other hand, there was a fluctuation in the importation of Ferraris after a steady increment from 1995 to 1999. Okay. On the other hand, there was a fluctuation. A fluctuation is a decrease in the importation of Ferraris after a steady increment from 1995 to 1999. So, when you look at the Ferraris, the Ferrari is the red line. Okay? You notice that there is a fluctuation. At first, you have a steady increment from 1994, but as soon as you get to 1995, okay, as soon as you get to 1995 to 1995, then the line graph it changes. So there was a fluctuation. A fluctuation means it keeps going up and down. There was a fluctuation in the importation of Ferraris after a steady increment from 1995 to 1999. When you look at that line from the red line from 1995 to 1999, it keeps going up, okay? And then it goes down. So it starts at 3,000, and then at one point, at its highest, it's at 4,000, and then it goes down all the way to about 3,500, and then it goes up again. That's why we are talking about a fluctuation, up and down. A fluctuation means it goes up and down. So, on the other hand, there was a fluctuation in the importation of Ferraris after a steady increment from 1995 to 1999. Steady increment, it means that it goes up, 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 okay? It does not go up and down. Up and down is fluctuation. Steady increment, it means it goes up, up, up. If you look at from 1995, okay, to 1999, it keeps going up, okay? The number of cars bought between 1995 and 1999, the number of Ferraris that were bought, they just keep going up, 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 and up, okay? So that's why we're talking about a steady increment. Now, so we have talked about the first key feature, that is the performance of the Porsches. We have also talked about the performance of the Ferraris, and now we move on to the third key feature, and that is the performance of both cars. So, in general, the total sum of Ferraris and Porsches purchased by Germans remained between 1,500 and 4,000 cars over the 8-year term. In general, the total sum of Ferraris and Porsches purchased by Germans remained between 1,500 and 4,000 cars over the 8-year term. So, in general, when you look at the total sums of Ferraris, the number of Ferraris and the number of Porsches that were purchased by the Germans over the whole 8-year term, you notice that it is between 1,500 and 4,000. It's not below 1,500, okay? So, you notice now there I have used in general, okay? That means that I am generalizing the information. So, in general, the total sum of Ferraris and Porsches purchased by Germans remain between 1,400 and 4,000 cars over the 8-year term period. Now, so when it comes to the overview, the most important thing is, first of all, you identify your key features. Usually they are about 2 to 3, but most of the times they are 3. And then what should you do? You write a sentence about the first key feature, and then you write another one about the second key feature, and then you write about the third key feature. But remember, you're still expected to compare them. You notice that I compared the first and the second key feature. I said, overall, the total number of Porsches imported into Germany increased over the period given. And I signal that I was about to compare them through the use of, on the other hand, okay? When it came to the Ferraris, there was a fluctuation. Okay, when it came to the Porsches, the purchase the import was steady, just increased over the whole period. But with the Porsches, it kept going up and down. And then I finished by tying them together. So in general, the total sum of both Ferraris and the Porsches purchased by Germans remained between 1,500 and 4,000 cars over the 8-year term period. Now, this brings me to the last section of this lesson, where I'm going to give you a few pointers or a few tips to ensure that you have a very, very, very easy time when you're writing your introduction and the overview. First of all, with the introduction, write 1 to 2 sentences. The first sentence, just paraphrase the information that IELTS has already provided you with. In the second sentence, talk about the units of measurements. That's for the introduction. Then for the overview, remember to begin with the word overall. Okay? Begin with the word overall. That word is very useful because it signals that you are summarizing the information in the line graph. Okay? Begin with overall. The next tip, try and replace the words as you carry on writing the rest of the paragraph. Okay? Use synonyms. Like, for example, I talked about the total number of, but later on I said the total sum of. Now, those two phrases mean the same. The total number of and the total sum of. Okay, to avoid repeating yourself. Also, you notice that I talked about over the period given at the beginning, but at the end I talked about over the 8-year term. The next tip, try and use your linking words. Okay, try and use your linking words when you're writing the overview. In my case, I used on the other hand. Okay, and then I use and. Now, the next tip, try as much as possible while you're writing your overview to be very, very precise. And what I mean is with the years from 1995 to 1998. Also 1500 to and 4000 cars. So use details in terms of numbers. The next tip, try as much as possible to ensure that your paragraph, your overview should have at least 2 to 3 sentences. I would say 3 sentences, because then you have, if you have 2 key features, then you should have 2 sentences. If you have 3 key features, then you should have 3 sentences. Okay? Now, this brings me to the last part of this lesson, where I'm going to give you another very important tip, and that is the verb, the tense that you use when you're writing your introduction. The introduction, you write it in the present tense, okay? The line graph demonstrates. The verb is demonstrates. And then you have units are measured in, okay? So be very careful with that. The line graph demonstrates, the line graph shows, it illustrates, because that is the present time. It is what you're looking at, okay? And then when it comes to the units, then you're talking about the past tense, measured. The units are measured, okay? And then when it comes to the overview, you notice that I have used the past tense. I have the first verb is imported, that is past tense. Increased, past tense. Was, past tense, okay? Purchased, past tense, all right? Now, if you have any questions, feel free to write your questions in the comment section, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up and share the video on all your social media platforms. If you found this lesson useful, then also do not forget to subscribe to the channel, okay? And give this video a thumbs up and share the video once more on all your social media platforms. And finally, look out for the second part of this lesson, where I'm going to teach you how to write the other 2 paragraphs, because as we said, your writing task should have 4 paragraphs: the introduction, the overview, and 2 main body paragraphs. Now, thank you very much for watching and subscribing, and see you in our next lesson. Bye bye.